What's up, guys? Welcome to Conversations with me, Thandi, on Ngesi Digital TV, coming to you live on all our social media platforms. 2020 was the year where businesses were disrupted by COVID-19 pandemic in their offering and the way that they operate. Most people lost their jobs, big organizations were liquidated, and many industries faced a great deal of loss, and some had to change how they do business. But there were those who rose above and this time served as an opportunity for growth. I am talking about those that are in the ICT industry. They have exponentially grown their revenue during this pandemic. My guest tonight is a brilliant mind and entrepreneur that evolved with this digital era. Don't go nowhere as we learn about how to thrive in this fourth industrial era. More after this. My guest tonight is Luvo, who is a brilliant mind, who is a data scientist and a managing director of Eastern Cape Internet, which was licensed by ICASA. But Luvo, welcome to my show. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and a privilege to be part of this great platform, Ngesi Digital TV. I'm part of the future and I'm quite excited. Thank you for having me.
Wow, part of the future. You know, when I was starting this show, I wanted a platform that will uplift people whose stories we've never heard. And you have been one of the people that we have been watching on social media. And you have grown exponentially and you fit today's topic. And when I requested for people to suggest guests, because this is a show that does not only belong to us, but as well to our guests. And one person said, can you invite Luvo Gray? I want to know this guy's story. What is his story, you know? So thank you so much for saying yes. I know you're quite busy, but I just want to find out, because you're a data scientist and you are a managing director of Eastern Cape Internet, exactly when you were younger, what is it that you wanted to do? Did you always know that you had interest in computers?
Thank you for that. And it's quite humbling that people out there are watching what we're doing, because sometimes we just do things without even knowing that the people watching.
True.
So in terms of my how I grew up, right? I've always been a rebel. I've always been a disruptor. When I was in grade R, I wanted to be an astronaut, right?
Oh.
However, due to the limitations of personal income from both my parents, I couldn't actually fulfill those goals and those dreams.
Okay.
So as time went, I fell in love with electronics. I was one of those young people who used to open, irons and microwaves. In actual fact, there was a time, it's actually a story I like telling. There was a time, I think it was during Easter holidays, right?
Okay.
Myself and my cousin, we were playing around with an old iron, and I thought I had fixed it, and I put it on the power cord, and the electricity in the house went off. I got a huge hiding. So whenever I think about my journey in the industry, right, I always think about, what that experience. So from then on, I went on to, because of, my teachers in high school, they suggested that the best way to do is to go to a technical high school. So I went from President Primary School to Podrex Technical High School, where I learned electrical technology. But unfortunately, as time went, right, my passion for activism and my passion for debating grew, right? So when I was in grade 11, I actually failed grade 11, right? Because when I got to high school, I was a nerd from primary school. I was always like top 3 students, number 1. So I was always, an overachiever in primary school. However, when I got to high school, girls started liking me. I don't know, maybe I got a little handsome. I don't know.
And the interest for books.
It went down. So I really didn't focus on my books. And then I found myself failing grade 11. And when I repeated it, I actually thought I was really stupid at that time. I was like, how? Because I grew up like being a top student, and then I failed grade 11, and then
almost closer to matric.
Almost closer to matric. Yeah. So I was like, I looked down on myself, but I put up my socks and I studied. That year when I repeated my grade 11, I was in the top 5 again.
Oh.
So yeah, from then on, I then, pursued. I wanted to be a lawyer, right?
Okay.
So from this guy who was interested in electronics, 100%.
Being an astronaut.
Being an astronaut,
Yeah.
imagine. And then, yeah, I pursued. I applied for BCom Law. I got
Okay.
accepted at Nelson Mandela University.
Okay.
When I got to Nelson Mandela University, the entrepreneurship bug bit me, right?
Oh.
So I started selling T-shirts because I don't come from a well-off family. So at times I had to make means because the money that I was being sent from home wasn't enough for me to survive, right?
Okay.
Especially as a young person and all the activities that happen in university, which we all know.
Lots of them.
Exactly. So I started selling T-shirts. I started selling Boerewors rolls in school so that So now at that particular time, like my studies fell off.
Yeah.
I felt like I was a full-time entrepreneur and a part-time student.
Okay.
Whereas it was supposed to be the other way around.
True.
So yeah, so that led to one thing and another. I didn't finish my studies at Nelson Mandela University.
Okay.
I then, at some point, because I was focused on this entrepreneurship journey, I focused fully on that. I started from selling T-shirts, I printed T-shirts, and then, the entrepreneurship bug bit me and I couldn't stop. I told myself, because I've never seen myself in a job, like besides being an astronaut, but I've never seen myself, sitting
being employed
and being
by somebody else.
100%. I've never actually seen myself, like I've never imagined myself being an employee, a full-time employee. But soon after that, I had to leave. I think it was in 2016. I decided, let me leave PE. Let me come back to East London, because my mother was asking me why your studies aren't looking that great and all of that. So she was like, come back. And I was like, one day I just decided to leave everything. I just came back to East London. And then when I came back to East London, right, I saw an opportunity in the ICT sector. I attended the ICT Summit here at the East London ICC. So when I was exposed to that information about, it brought back the memories, right?
Yeah.
The memories of wanting to be an astronaut.
That curious mind that wanted to explore.
Exactly. Wanting, being in love with technology. So that sparked my mind. I decided, let me go back.
Okay.
Let me start. I met up with a couple of people. We started building ICT infrastructure in the Eastern Cape. I mean, we've built this ICT infrastructure for some of the big organizations, which I can't mention.
Yeah.
So we started from there, and then soon after that, we realized that we're building infrastructure for telecommunications companies. Why don't we start our own ICT company in terms of our own internet service provider? So in 2019, we got our licensed by ICASA.
Wow.
And then, the journey has been quite great. It's been so nice, but we'll speak about it
We
as
are
the show
watching,
goes on.
we are watching because when I was looking up at things that you have been doing amazing work, I could not find the link as to when you did the jump to become into the ICT and lead. So I want to understand, how did that come about? Because I know that in 2018, you started a company called Eastern Cape Internet. So this is where now you're bridging the gap in terms of offering internet to people that would otherwise never find it anyway. So I want to understand, when was the jump? What got you ready to start that company?
Okay, so what really made me to start the company was, I looked at the Eastern Cape, right? And I looked at, what the Department of Communication was basically saying in terms of their reports, their 5-year reports. They were saying that by 2024, so many people should be connected. And I looked at the statistics in the Eastern Cape. I was like, 90% of the communities in the Eastern Cape are not connected.
Yeah.
And then as an entrepreneur, that to me was a hell of an opportunity.
Because you offer a solution.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, here's an opportunity. When you start in the ICT sector, the ICT sector has been untransformed for quite a long time, right? You have 3 mobile network operators, 4, in fact, dominant mobile network operators, and about 500 internet service providers. And there's literally less than 2% which are black owned. So I was like, okay, the reason why people in the communities that I grew up in, because I grew up in Sinari Park, a township next to when you're going towards in Tanzania. So I looked at that and I realized, no, man, the reason why these communities aren't being connected is because the people that are supposed to connect these communities aren't coming from these communities.
So they don't know the need.
Exactly. Okay. So they don't understand, having no internet access, having computers,
Yeah.
having literally nothing.
Yeah.
The only thing that you're working for is to survive.
Yeah.
So after seeing that, I realized, okay, let's start this company and let's see where it takes us. So we got the license. We took a bit of time because of finance, right, to start, because it's quite a huge cost to start an internet service provider.
Yeah.
So at the time, I had a bit of cash which I left over from a job that I used to do, and some of the money that I left over from the business that I was running in PE. We put that together with my partners, and then we started the licensing process. And then 3 months down the line, we connected our first client, and with a couple of other partners like Eastern and IDZ.
Yes.
Yeah. So they've been part of our journey.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So what was the essence of you guys starting that business, and specifically calling it the Eastern Cape Internet? What did you want to address besides the fact that, in locations, we are now moving towards the fourth industrial revolution, if we're not in it, because I also want to ask you about it. Okay. But basically, everyone is using cell phones, everyone is using Wi-Fi, but you guys chose to tap into the township market. Did you really have a target audience there? Well, in actual fact, right, because of some of our mentors, right, they, our mentors, we attended in 2018, we attended the International Telecommunications Union. I was still leading the Progressive Blacks in ICT at the time. So because I was leading that organization, I had to, we had to go to the conference as part of the delegation. And while we were there, we were exposed to quite a number of things, and then that's where I met one of my mentors, which I can't name. So drop the name. I met one of my mentors who basically said, guys, there's a huge opportunity, right? He spoke about the Internet of Things. He spoke about artificial intelligence. He spoke about drones. He spoke about quite a number of, quite a number of technologies that are going to be dominant in the 4R. And he said the Internet of Things, right, by 2030, there's going to be 50 billion devices connected to the Internet. Because if you've realized that internet communication is between human and human. Now it's going to evolve to being also, towards, devices to devices, right? So we saw that, but we realized that, in as much as this would be a great business opportunity in South Africa, but the communities aren't connected. So we've decided, no, let's first start to connect the unconnected communities and play our part in bridging the digital divide. So the reason why we named EC Internet, Eastern Cape Internet, right, is because I have a vision, right, to connect most of the townships and rural areas in the Eastern Cape, so that they could benefit from the technologies in the 4R. Because if you don't have internet, the internet in itself, the digital infrastructure, is the basis and it's the foundation of the 4R. Without the internet infrastructure, without connecting, there's no 4R. I get it. So we started with the basics because we know that at some point the internet is going to be a human right, of which that is some of the issues that in my leading the National Youth ICT cycle. We won't buy it. We won't buy it. At some point, the internet is going to be subsidized. Right? By the government. By government. They'll be forced to, because everything is happening online. So if people aren't connected, you won't be able to deliver services. You won't be able to communicate with the communities. So you are a data scientist. What is a data scientist? Well, a data scientist, in summary, right, we process raw data, right? We take raw data, unmanaged information, and we turn it into great insights. So you'll find that, for example, I'll make an example of Cambridge Analytica and what happened in America during the 2016 election when Trump became president. Right? There was a huge case that Cambridge Analytica, played too much a role in Trump winning the presidency. Right? So what those guys did, Trump in his team, in his election team, had data scientists. So what they did, they took all the data, all the sentiment across all social media platforms, in particular Facebook. So they took that information, they managed it, and they got insights as to what people are saying online. Then they use that information, to basically change the sentiment towards, driving people towards Trump. And then Trump won because of data scientists. And data science is one of the, sought after skills internationally, not just South Africa. Every day, Facebook, Google, Twitter,
all these, even Red Hat, all
Yeah.
these big, telecommunications companies, information and communication telecommunications companies
using that.
are seeking data scientists because
Yeah.
data is the new oil. And
I
yeah.
think for normal businesses that were operating traditionally, siqale uyibona le nto in 2020, and I saw somewhere where Stella Ndabeni, Minister Stella Ndabeni Abrahams was quoted saying, "Data science is the career of the future." So for someone who might say, "I would like to study data science," angafunda phi? Let's just hold that thought. Let's go to the ad break. I just want to say, if you're missing out, you better go out there and tell your friends that Luvo Gray is in the house, and we're talking all things fourth industrial revolution, Internet of Things. After the break, more with Luvo Gray.
Molweni, this is Gugu, and boy oh boy has it been so long since I have sat on this chair behind this camera. This is to let you know that Sunday Sessions with Gugu is coming back. We are launching 2021 with a bang. We are back with great content and even greater guests. Please do join us on Keith Ngesi Digital TV Facebook page every single Sunday from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m. And of course on our YouTube page as well. Keith Ngesi Digital TV is where it's at.
Welcome back to Conversations with Thandi. Please be mindful that next week we are celebrating 5 years anniversary with our sister station, the Keith Ngesi radio station. Ha! Please, if you'd like to say any congratulatory messages, just send us through on our social media platforms to give them more messages. Make sure that you get engaged with us, and as well, you can be live with us next week. So tonight we have a special guest, Luvo Gray. Luvo, before the break, we were just talking about the fact that you were saying we are moving towards fourth industrial revolution. If asekho before ndicho, sikuye okanye we still moving?
Well, if you look at the 4R, right, and what inculcates and what basically the 4R is,
Yeah.
and you look at, in fact, there are certain parts of the world that are in the 4R. I mean, where there's driverless cars,
Sure.
data, like there's literally driverless cars in America, in Manhattan.
Yeah.
But in other parts of the African continent, like South Africa in particular, we still have a long way to go because there are still technologies that we're still yet to adapt. There's places in the Eastern Cape that you can't get 2G. You can't even send a message.
Alice, example.
Exactly.
In Alice, it's difficult to connect.
Very difficult to connect.
Yeah.
So we can have these nice words and all these technologies, but if we aren't giving our people access to those technologies, then
what good is it?
the only people that are going to benefit are the rich. The rich are going to get richer, and the poor are going to get poorer. Because if you look at, the skills revolution, right? We are going towards a gig economy where you are going to, the only way you're going to be able to survive is by the skills that you have, right?
Yeah.
For example, for myself as a data scientist, I could be able to consult for a company in America without actually having to
go there
to America
and be present.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if people aren't skilling themselves in the skills of the future, and government isn't playing its part in upskilling people, which is, I appreciate what the Minister of Communications is doing in terms of upskilling, because I'm a beneficiary of that program. If I didn't form part of that program, in as much as there's online platforms, right? That was a deliberate program to upskill, young unemployed people. So yeah, so that in summary, right? We need to upskill our people, and because the 4R has there's so many great opportunities with the fourth industrial revolution, right? And there's also quite a number of casualties, in particular when it comes to jobs.
True.
The jobs are of the future.
People are being replaced.
Exactly. I mean, you've seen at McDonald's, you don't really need to go to the counter anymore. You just press a few buttons and your order comes through.
Exactly.
So now people's jobs are being left out, but there's many jobs that are being created.
Yeah.
But in order for you to benefit from that, you
have
need
to
to
move with
upskill
the time.
and move with the times.
Yeah, because this is what I wanted to ask you. You are a data scientist. Isn't that, Tina, what we know of abantu that are in IT? It was not anything that's related to communication specifically, because we talk about ICT now. So it's internet, information and communication technology, but it used to be IT back then.
Yes.
So for someone who wants to upscale or know team, now I've done IT and now I want to move towards being a data scientist, how can they upskill?
So if you look at, the IT related programs, we come from C#, come from C++. Recently, Python has been quite a dominant programming language in the data science field. So if you were, part of the IT era, for example, someone who has a master's in information technology from 1996, and you look at them today, I know more about IT than them, right? Even though I'm quite fairly new in IT, but because of how technology evolves, right? If skills, like you have to constantly upskill yourself. Right? If there's a new programming language which is dominant in a particular field, you have to upskill yourself. There's online platforms. Like I've upskilled myself. I'm an IoT specialist. I did that course through Coursera with
Internet of Things, for those who do not know.
So I did that course with like in partnership with what was Coursera with the University of California.
Sure.
And I didn't know much about the Internet of Things, but after attending that course online, if I didn't have internet access, how was I going to be able to attend those? So I'm now, because I'm privileged to have internet access, I was able to get hold of that skill and upskilled myself. I now can I can build IoT products from scratch. But that's not what I'm really involved in. What I want to do as a leader, right? I see myself as a leader. So I don't really want to be hands-on, but I want to build the next generation of IoT specialists, the next generation of data scientists. As young as I am, I see myself as playing that role. I
saw you addressing ministers somewhere about the future of ICT, and this is one of the things that Minister Stella Ndabeni said. She was quoted saying, "Bana, data science is the career of the future." Do you agree?
I fully agree. I mean, if you've listened to Dr. Andile Ngaba in his speech at the FTTX Council 2018, his opening speech, he talks about data being the new oil, right? Where in the past, the global economics was driven by derivatives, right? But now, if you look at how valuable data is, we are looking at maybe the ICT sector will be driving the future economy, because data is the new oil. If you look at these big big ICT companies, right? True. They use data for their own advantage. They use your personal information. True. They use every activity that you use online for their own benefit, because they sell advertising. They make billions and billions of dollars and trillions in some companies because of data. So data, information, like for example, when you post something online, right? And you say you are in Alice, you are at Forte, and there's, let's say, 1,000 other people posting that, right? As soon as you do that, you notify algorithms, right? That I'm in a particular place and there's 1,000 more people here. And then that activity then is sold to advertisers. For example, if you search, let's say you want to wear red bottoms, if you want to buy red bottoms online and you search it on Google, 10 minutes later, if you go to Facebook or you go to Instagram,
there's an advert about it.
Exactly. So when we talk when the industry talks about data is the new oil, that's what they mean, right? True. That data that is being collected, it's giving people insights. Like these people are literally forcing us to buy, because in the olden days you had to wait for SABC for you to be advertised for a particular funeral policy. Now, if you search a funeral policy online, in a couple of seconds it will be advertised to you on all the social media platforms. That is because the big organizations are working together to basically sell. Like they're selling, that's what they're doing, but they're using data and they're getting more information out of you. True. Information that you willingly give by the way, because you accept
consented.
the terms and
Exactly.
conditions.
And we don't
But
even read those terms and
who
conditions.
reads terms and conditions? I mean,
Because
come on.
look, it's the same with banks. I've
Yeah.
noticed. Like if you took a loan from another bank, you get somebody else calling you, offering you certain things. Like let's say, for instance, now you just got a new salary from a new job, and all of a sudden you're getting these calls offering you plenty of benefits and etc. And you wonder, when I was unemployed, where were these people? Did they know that I didn't have money? You know, so it's quite scary. But tell me this: from you starting a company in 2018 and now being forced as a business to enter into fourth industrial revolution, like to literally depend on the Internet of Things, how was the evolution for you?
Well, the evolution for me, because I've always like been interested, for example, like the Internet of Things, to make
Yeah.
it simple, it's a convergence of multiple technologies, right?
Sure.
You have the camera, you've got your phone, you've got the door,
Yeah.
you've got the aircon,
Okay.
all of them communicating.
Okay.
The aircon, as soon as you enter the room, the door will tell the aircon that, you know, I'm in the room, so switch it on to a particular, because of the data. You've been in the past couple of months and it will have information of the weather. So because sometimes maybe the weather is quite hot outside, but you
Yeah.
don't like the aircon at 16 or the minimum, you know, Celsius. But now, because of the data it is collected, it will automatically know what type of, you know, level of Celsius you want.
Yeah.
You know, the temperature that it should distribute to the entire room. So you know, these devices are going to be communicating with each other without you having any control over it. In fact, you will have control.
So we are moving towards from being manual, everything being manual.
Everything is automated. So to answer your question,
Yeah.
right? So all of these devices, without the internet, won't be able to communicate.
Okay.
So us upskilling ourselves in the Internet of Things, in data science, it forms part of the bigger vision, right, of closing the digital divide. Because closing the digital divide isn't just about connecting people to the internet. It's also giving them devices to allow them to
That
connect
speaks
to the
to, sure.
Exactly.
Okay.
So, for example, a cell phone, right? You know, if you don't have a cell phone, you won't be able to connect to the internet because you have to travel many kilometers. I'm talking about a kid, let's say a Cholom. They have to travel so many kilometers to get to a particular place in order for them to access the internet. I mean, that's really demotivating.
True.
So we connect them. We also give them provide them with the devices, and then after that we collect the data.
Okay.
You know that data, right? We're not collecting the data for our own selfish interests, unlike the big organizations. We're collecting the data so that we can give our clients better product offerings.
Okay.
When we started, just to make an example, right? We just wanted to connect households. We just wanted to connect households, businesses, but then we realized that in the townships, right, when the data that we collected is that most people access the internet through their handheld devices, through their cell phones.
Sure.
Most of the people don't have laptops. They don't have smart TVs. So in order for us to generate income in these communities, we realized that, okay, how about we provide Wi-Fi hotspots? That's when this 5 Rand Wi-Fi, 100 Rand monthly Wi-Fi. Yes,
Yeah.
it's through our partnership with the big organization, international big organization.
Like this, not you wanting to drop names, kills me. So, okay.
So it's through that
So
partnership.
you studied the need, and then you saw that these are some of the benefits and incentives that you guys can give to the communities
Exactly.
through the data collection.
Yes. So our smallest package in terms of in our internet packages
Yeah.
is 299 Rand a
Okay.
month, right? But if you give a person who does, for example, if you connect a household to the internet and they don't have a smart TV, they don't have handheld devices, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? So, but if you give them access to the internet, let's say at the nearest spaza shop, where they could buy a voucher there, a seamless, we don't even use paper, it's a paperless system.
Yeah,
You
just
give me
like
the number.
airtime.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's a paperless system. You give me your number, you give me my 5 Rand, and then I send you the link, and then automatically you get connected to the network.
Oh,
So
and
if
it's
you
uncapped.
It's uncapped. You can download,
Yeah.
you can watch everything you want, literally
Wow.
everything. You can watch your online videos. You can literally finish a course, you know, by spending 25 Rand.
That's cutting edge.
An entire course, and upskill yourself in the skills of the future for just 5 Rand.
Wow.
Multiplied by 5, 25 bucks.
Yeah.
And then you are a data
You're good to
scientist
go.
or you're an IoT practitioner.
Exactly. That's great, Luvo. And you know, you just reminded me of when we watched a movie that had been in the future. We'll talk about it after the break. Like Han said, Dizzy, I just feel like in the good computer science class, I'm taken back into university. I'm learning so much. I hope that you are learning as well. More with Luvo Gray after the break.
KNR is on the pulse of local and international content, offering audiences an opportunity to be part of the global conversation in a fast-changing and increasingly digitized world of communication. Headquartered in East London, Eastern Cape, we broadcast nationwide and stream to the world. As the day breaks, social crossover with Loza Wamvene touches the airwaves, pregnant with compelling content.
We talk about everything that you need to know in the morning. It will help you prepare for the day in a special way. KNR HCC's Aina Media Masbeneti.
In an increasingly digitized and global economy, businesses and state entities are under pressure to stand out and create awareness about key offerings and new services. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's do radio according to you.
Welcome back to Conversations with me, Thandi. I have an intellectual, Luvo Gray, who is talking all things Fourth Industrial Revolution. Luvo, before the break, I was just saying, I remember watching iRobot, Loka Will Smith, and people were freaking out to think that we could have machines that are operating. But now, with this Fourth Industrial Revolution, you said we are moving towards artificial intelligence. Are we there in South Africa? What's our state of readiness right now?
Our state of readiness in South Africa isn't that great, but you do have people working in silos.
Okay.
Right? You go to Silicon Cape, you go to, you know, there was a Cortex hub at East London ITZ.
Okay.
So you do have people working in their own, you know, corners, right, developing these technologies, right? To talk about iRobot, all right, machines have, you know, evolved from just being programmed to operate in a particular way.
Okay.
Machines now are learning. Hence, there's a new, you know, section in artificial intelligence called machine learning, where machines, if you program a machine to act in a particular way, it then, based on the data it collects, it then learns you know, what it needs to do, and then you don't need to do anything. It just, like, for example, there was a huge debacle where, you know, the software engineers at Facebook, they developed, or they created this robot, and then, you know, this robot started learning, and then these robots started to communicate with each other, right? And the programmers, the software developers, didn't understand the language.
They were
that
communicating.
So now
Okay.
that is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Right? Dangerous how, right? So now, if, for example, in the future, I know that police officers are going to be replaced by robots.
Okay.
So now if you have a robot that doesn't necessarily listen to the instructions that you gave it in code, and you give it to, I mean, it starts creating its own language, then it will, at some point, it will, you know, instead of killing a criminal, it will kill an innocent bystander.
Oh.
So now that's
Because
the
you
problem.
can't control it.
You can't control it because now it's learning itself and it's got its own attitude. It's no longer, because when you breathe, like when you write code, it's like you're breathing life into, you know, a piece of plastic or a piece
True.
of metal.
Yeah.
Right. So now this piece of metal is now suddenly, you know, speaking a language.
Yeah.
Speaking a language that you don't even understand as the parent
Yeah.
who gave it the code. So those are the dangers of technology and artificial intelligence and robotics.
Yeah.
There will come a time where we won't be able to control these things. I mean, Elon Musk has mentioned this, and a lot of people have been against it. And I sort of agree with him because I've seen how, you know, I've seen these things. I've been in environments where I've seen, you know, a robot doing amazing things. But now, when I imagine and I look at those, those movies like iRobot, I'm like, okay, this is actually the way we are going towards,
and we thought
quite
it
scary.
was crazy at the time. When we saw it, we're like, never, this will never happen. Imagine a robot parenting, helping you to parent and talking to your child, you know?
Yeah.
Congratulations. I understand that you were appointed as the president of the Youth ICT in the Eastern Cape. What does that entail?
Well, I was appointed as the president of the National Youth ICT Council.
Oh, my mistake.
So we have members across the entire country, you know, young people who are interested in the ICT sector, and those who are interested in after they finish matric and after they finish their studies to go be, you know, ICT practitioners. So that is basically our membership. What we are doing is that we are being the voice for the voiceless, because what we've realized is that in the industry there's a vacuum, and nature in itself doesn't allow a vacuum. So we decided to fill that vacuum. And we worked with the Department of Communications to form this organization that will be the voice of the voiceless, you know, young people in the sector, and actually upskill and actually be at the forefront of, you know, because we have all these ideas as young people. However, if we are not organized, we won't reach our destination, because we have a generational mission, right? We want to bridge the digital divide. I don't see myself as a success. When you say you're celebrating my success, I was like, I don't see myself. I know maybe it's an imposter syndrome that I don't see myself there yet. I don't see myself as a successful person. I still have a long way to go. If there's people in Mdantsane, people in Kobokobo who can't access the internet, then I'm very far away from being a success. Because I derive my success from you. Haven't seen some of the old people that we've connected. Like I'm a 50-year-old like who has an entry-level, you know, cell phone, gaining access to the internet for the first time. You know, the spark in their eyes when they see their great-grandchildren online, and they search and they see that this is actually my great-grandchildren.
This is how they
my
look
child.
like.
This is how they look
now.
You know, first time, and that to me that brings me joy more than the economic value that we're deriving. But more, what drives me is seeing those people connected to the internet and being able to, you know, basically change their lives. With the internet. So that's what
you want to work towards.
Yeah.
But you know what, you can I just take it that we are celebrating you. You know, forget about the imposter syndrome, because from where we are standing, I mean, the world just changed immediately, just like that. And you are an entrepreneur, and you're one of the first people that saw the gap, and you upscaled yourself and you followed through, and now you are leading the industry. I mean, that's something worth celebrating. So that's why we thought today, let's hear what exactly are you doing, you know? And I want to talk about, because you mentioned the mandate of the Youth in ICT Council. I want to find out, do you guys think that there's more support given to SMMEs in terms of them being equipped to this time that we're in?
Well, through the work that we've been doing, right? Because I'm always of the view that if you are sitting in a corner and you are not speaking about, you know, what to really mean, like for example in public platforms, how I then got noticed, and it was because I went to public platforms and I raised my views and I participated, right? And what I realized that is that in as much as some of the people didn't acknowledge what I was saying in those public platforms, I started seeing policies being changed where, for example, the Iskalo Youth Fund, you know, there was an ICT fund. I was like, okay, in as much as I'm not giving credit to myself, but I do have an idea that at least if someone was part of that conversation,
they were
and they were listening and they saw a young person advocating for such a thing, surely they would have noted that, right? In as much as I'm not saying that it's me, that no, I'm not saying
Sure.
that. But what I'm saying is that if young people are organized and they organize themselves in terms of, advocating for what they believe in, then the people who are in power will definitely
and
listen.
what they need.
And exactly
Yeah.
on what they need. So in terms of, the Eastern Cape, right? I think we still have a long way to go.
True.
I think we still have a long way to go, but yeah.
But what do you think we can do? For instance, this platform right now, we have you to capacitate us about the change that's happening right now and how we can be better equipped and ready for it. So, I mean, that forms part and parcel of what we can, but I want to understand from your standpoint, as somebody that, used to participate in youth summit and intellectual property summits and things like that, I want to know what are your thoughts in terms of how we can bring in more young people to participate?
Okay, so how we can bring more young people to participate is by exposing young people to what you can achieve, right? What you can get, whether it's economically or whether it's being developed socially, from being in a particular place to then navigating to a place where now you are comfortable, you're living a better life. If we don't expose young people to these skills and all of these great things, right, these fancy things, then it will always sit with the leaders. Like they will always talk about stats that by a particular time we want to have so many people with this and this and that. But however, if we don't take these things to the townships, the rural areas, because if you look at our population, the majority of people in South Africa are in townships and rural areas.
True.
So we need to take that. That's what we are trying to do, right? I'm officially announcing this as the Youth ICT Council.
Okay.
We've recently, signed an MOU with one of the big, cloud hosting companies in the world.
Okay.
Where we will be training about 2,000 young people across the country. In a skill where as soon as they finish, they will be able to get employment, whether it's in South Africa or internationally.
Oh, wow.
And it's quite a huge amount of money that this organization has put together and said this is what we, and because of the people that are within the National Youth ICT Council and the work that we've been doing. I mean, we haven't been around for quite a long time, but the impact. Young people are, because we sent out a request for membership. I think it was for a week. We had about 460 something young people interested in being a member, without even knowing how much it's going to cost for them to be a member, but because of what they're seeing that we're doing. So, there's a lot of people that need their lives to be changed, and being part of that, it's quite exciting.
Because I wanted to ask you in terms of the education system, because I understand that we still have IT courses, IT diplomas. Do you think they are equipped for what is to come?
No, I don't think the current education system is equipped to teach young people for the skills of the future.
Sure.
I think there needs to be a skills revolution in the country. I believe that we need to, because if in order for you to lose a habit, right, you need to disassociate yourself with anything that makes you fall back onto what what was pulling you back. And what has been pulling us back is a historical course of IT where it's not where it's supposed to be. I mean, you don't get taught Python. I mean, in university, you always get taught or coding. Like you don't get taught. You get taught the past coding. Of course, it's good as a basic understanding of programming. However, you don't just teach young people how to code, but you teach them how to code to solve problems. Because you can
current problems.
The current education system doesn't do that.
True.
They'll teach you how to code and then they'll leave you, right? And then you only get that when you get to BTech, where they say there's a societal problem, And the assignment, in order for you to pass your BTech, you need to provide a solution, and then. But after that, there's nothing that happens. I was actually listening. This guy who was studying at Walter Sisulu University, he came to me and he said, "This is what we developed as a BTech assignment, and as our final project." And I looked at this thing. I was like, this should be patented. I mean, it's a revolutionary, system.
Project, sure.
And they've presented it to the university, but because of the culture, right, which I still say needs to be changed.
And it's backwardsness.
Exactly. So that opportunity hasn't, gone. It hasn't gone through funding. It hasn't gone through anything. It just left. It was left there. So now I've been trying to assist him to actually, see what we can do and maybe assist him with the patent application, and then take it to market. Hopefully, because it's a revolutionary product.
Okay. All right, Kaibamba, thank you so much for that. After the break, we'll talk to Luvo more about intellectual property. How can one make sure they patent their ideas? Stay tuned.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to our first Chit Chat Reloaded show on KNDT. Thank you for choosing us this evening, and please spread the word. As usual, tell your friends to tell their friends that we are on, and while at it, like our Facebook page and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ngesi Digital TV. I'm super excited to be bringing you tonight's show, and I'm not riding alone tonight. I have my amazing co-hosts, and I know you're going to love them too. Chef Tools will be preparing quick and easy meals for us, while Nzwagi is here to show us the ins and outs of beauty and fashion. So without wasting any more time, let's get right to it. Hey guys!
Hello.
Njani? I'm good myself. Please tell the viewers what to expect this Sunday.
Start preparing yourself for this coming Sunday. Otherwise, Tools was
Yay! And Zwagi, what's up, girl?
I'll be bringing you the ins and outs of beauty, what's hot, what's not in fashion.
Yes.
Beauty is easy, it's convenient, and you can always get it right.
And beauty is not expensive as well.
Not expensive at all.
We don't want to break the budget.
That's right.
Exactly. So guys, thank you, and I'm so excited for the show. Are you guys excited to start the show? I am super excited. I'm excited to taste all your delicious meals, Tools. And Zwagi, I can't wait to look pretty every day, all day, and get so many tips and beauty fashion tips from you. So please, everyone, tune in every Sunday, 7 to 8, and don't miss us, because this show is going to be banging.
Welcome back to Conversations with me, Thandi. I have my guest in studio, Luvo. Bongani, we are acknowledging your comment. Utu Bongani, akukho no G engqondo. What do you say? Because no connect. Have you guys gone to those areas like Omangcobo kanje?
Well, we are planning to go towards because there's no ICT infrastructure, there's no internet infrastructure there.
Okay.
So we then, instead of us waiting for these big organizations to build infrastructure, we then went to a satellite company which provides satellite internet.
Okay.
They basically provide internet. It doesn't matter where you are, whether in a cave or whatever, because it comes from
satellite.
From satellite. So it's orbiting above, our level. So that will essentially give us an opportunity to provide this connectivity to places like Ngcobo, so that we can give them, the speeds. For example, we could give them a 30 megabits per second line, doesn't matter where they are.
Okay.
But now what we are doing with places like Ngcobo, we understand the LSM, the living standard measures, right? It's not level 7 to 10. So it's not a place where you want to go connect. You essentially build infrastructure to go connect the households. You'd rather provide Wi-Fi hotspots in almost every street so that people can be able to connect with their cell phone. Because as I've mentioned before, they don't have laptops, they don't have smart TVs. So the only way for them to be able to access the internet is through their phones. And it doesn't matter what phone you have, as long as you've got a Wi-Fi option on your phone, you just press that Wi-Fi option, and then it gives you the options of purchasing whether 5 Rand or 25 Rand or 100 Rand. So that's what we're going to be starting to deploy in places like Ngcobo, Mthatha, and most of the rural areas in the Eastern Cape. So
it's in your plans.
It's in our plans. We're going to be piloting some of those initiatives. We'll start with Mthatha and then King Williamstown, because I know in King Williamstown there are places where there's literally no connectivity, even 1G. You don't even get 1G. The only thing you can do is a call, but you need to. The thing is with telecommunications, right? If there's no line of sight, or if there's no sight with a telecommunications tower, and there's a mountain or whatever the case that's blocking that, it becomes very difficult to communicate. So the big telco companies haven't built the infrastructure. They claim that they're connecting 99%.
But it's not 99%.
But it's not the case.
Yes.
But you find that you know, they are being given the spectrum, you know, and we are not being given the spectrum. I mean, like, we are doing this job, there's data, like we are connecting households and we're connecting people.
So it makes you guys to start from the scratch, like consensus-based land survey.
Exactly. So now we are forced to partner with international organizations who are providing satellites. Whereas we could have, you know, went to the big
local
telcos.
ones. Sure. So a quick question as we are wrapping up. I want to find out, you spoke about partnering with international companies, you know, to assist abantu. So for somebody who's saying and watching and listening now, I'm interested in computers and ICT stuff. Bangangena njani kule program that you guys are about to pilot and which is funded that you spoke about?
So in about a week or two, we on our national it's ICT Youth Council on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, and on YouTube. And also on our website. We'll start, you know, publicizing this platform. And you know, if everything goes well, we'll also have a press conference
for that.
For that, because it's a huge, it's quite a huge thing, and I'm definitely going to push for people in the Eastern Cape to benefit from that. At least, you know, a particular number of people need to be coming from the Eastern Cape.
Sure.
Because of the skills disadvantage.
Yes.
So if someone wants to get part of that course, it's cloud computing. You know, so, and you know, this organization, it's Amazon, recently built a data center. They're building a data center in the country. So they're going to be needing quite a number of those skill sets. So those people that are part of that program will go straight to
that's great.
So yeah.
So nive qala ke apha ku conversations with Thandi, please. So just a quick one, Luvo, before I just want to ndifake nje le question. In your extra time, you said that normally unceda small companies that wants to patent their ideas. Just nje a summary of that.
So what I do, right, in my spare time, I consult and I also file, you know, trademarks and because I did mention that I ended up finishing my course at my LLB at UNISA. So through that I studied, and through the World Intellectual Property Organization I got, you know, I got certifications of being able to file a patent and also being able to file trademarks. So what I do, right, I've decreased the price, so you don't need to go to a lawyer, an attorney or an advocate for them to register your trademark. You can come to me. I consult. I mean, it's 250 Rand an hour. Whereas if you were consulting with a lawyer, it would be 2,000 Rand an hour. So I'm basically democratizing, you know, intellectual property so that people can actually, you know, trademark their names, patent their concepts and their ideas.
This is great. I'm also listening for myself because I need to patent one.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
100%.
Luvo, I just want to say thank you so much for today. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. And we celebrate you. We see what you're doing. So I hope that people that are listening will continue to look into your page for more details of the amazing work that you guys are doing. Guys,
Most definitely.
thank you so much. I want to now move to the word of the day, thought of the day. My thoughts for today are on evolving. Whether you have studied and you have masters, make sure that you evolve. The times are moving, times are changing. We have learned today from our guest that you cannot stay with one skill and expect that you will belong to the future. Make sure that you upskill yourself, you equip yourself so that you can belong to the future. Introspect and check the skills that you have, if they are efficient enough for you to make sure, Bana, you belong to the future, you benefit fully. Let's not only watch people, let's not only celebrate them, but let's learn from them. We've learned a lot from our guests today. I want to thank each and everyone that tuned in today. I want to say thank you specifically to you at home who participated in our conversation. A big thank you to my studio audience, my guest, Vuyo Ngesi, who is here today. But I would like to say thank you so much to Luvo for his availability. I understand that they're busy, and thank you so much for sharing more information. I want to say thank you to Budmandis. Guys, so I want to say a big thank you to you as my producer, Uput Gary. Thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough for putting this show together. Our captain, Uput Keith Ngesi, I salute you, Buti, for this opportunity. And a special thank you to Border Haya for all that they've done for us. And also Baby Guru Events, Upper Studio today. And also to my glam team, I see you. Thank you. More guys. Next week, I just want to say to you, Bana, we won't be live, we won't have a show, but we will be live on social media platforms, Keith Ngesi Radio, Keith Ngesi Digital TV, where we are celebrating our sister station that is turning 5 years old. Keith Ngesi Radio, guys, is celebrating 5 years. What a milestone. So be tuned in and make sure you join us live. From me to you with love. I will see you the week after next week. Bye for now.